What is up? What is up, YouTube? It's John from the internet. Oh my gosh, it's been forever, or it feels like it's been forever, since we've been able to hang out and chat and talk through life and family and work and all of those things that you and I spend a ton of time doing. But I don't know. I just really miss doing one of these videos because it's been so busy in my life, which I think is good. You know, there's clearly a difference between good busy and bad busy, and I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. But sometimes you just spending you realize you're spending so much time on what I call calorie-less work, if that makes sense. Calorie-less work, or work that doesn't have caloric value. Anyway, my wife and I were talking about this, and she was like, I don't actually think that makes sense. Don't use the word calorie-less. She was like, there's definitely a better metaphor or analogy or whatever to use than a food metaphor. Anyway, she's probably right. But I hope you're having a great day. It's Tuesday, February 26th. I always have to check. I hope you guys are having a great day. It's been a very rainy week here in San Francisco. It's been very rainy and a little bit miserable. But I got my walk in with Buddy this morning. We did about a 3-mile walk in the rain, which I'm totally down for. I'm very committed to my health, and I hope most of you, if not all of you, are also equally committed to your physical, your emotional, your psychological, your spiritual, heart stuff, level, health. I think is so important. And if you're not, then I don't really know I don't know what you're doing. But some really exciting news. A few things that I wanted to share with you. The first is that there's a major release coming for the product that I'm working on. We are building this kind of multiple cryptocurrency exchange interface. That's a really not a very good way of explaining it. But anyway, we are integrating with these multiple exchanges where you can buy and sell crypto, and we're releasing our second major integration with Binance very soon, this week actually. So we're spending so much time getting ready for that. I'm very excited about that. It's been months of work, and the team's been really heads down for the last few years, but especially around this integration, this is a big deal. Cannot wait for our community to test it out, and I'm so grateful for them. So grateful for you. A couple folks here on the channel spend time testing it, which is fantastic. And then I have made it to the second round, or I guess the first round, second round. I applied to this accelerator called Praxis. So I'll have a link below. And it's a nonprofit, and a lot of the costs are underwritten. But what's interesting is that you have to actually pay to participate, and it's a little bit strange, right? Because like startups especially don't have that much cash to begin with, and then like paying to have access to an accelerator can feel a little bit like, what's the ROI, what's the return on investment, so to speak. But this in particular, well, one, they don't take equity, which is nice. So there's none of that, unlike other accelerators where they allow you to participate and they take part of your business. So now they own part of your business as part of the entrance fee to actually participate and to have all this value created, right, for you and your company. But instead of taking equity, I'm in fact just giving them some cash, about I think it's like $7,000 or $8,000, but it's totally worth it. And one of the more important things about this program is that it's an opportunity for me to invest in myself. It's an opportunity for me to invest in myself as a leader, and so that I can grow and really network with some folks who really care about how to build a successful company with a very few things in mind. One, well, the most important one is kind of the spiritual perspective of building a business. Now, that might be something that you're not interested at all, which would be fine. And you might be like, John, you're an idiot. Why would you spend $8,000 hanging out with folks talking about the spiritual components of building a business? But I'm going to tell you that I really think it's a big deal. I think there's something that connects all of us. And, I don't know what you might call that, but I think there's just something that connects us spiritually. And my health, my spiritual health, directly impacts my team, and also directly impacts the customers and the folks that I serve and I want to serve. And if I can't be the most healthy person that I can possibly be in all of those different areas, then I'm doing a really grave disservice to the folks that I love and respect and want to help the most. So it's a big deal. And so I try to communicate consistently to my team. I'm trying to communicate to you, to model for you and for my team and for my family, that investing in yourself, blocking out time to do that is really important. And if you don't, then I think we lose out on really big opportunities, big moments where we can kind of break through some of those ceilings and some of the things that hold us back from being our absolute best. And so I really hope you're investing in yourself. I hope this year you find an opportunity to invest in yourself. I'd love to know what those things might be. So feel free to share those in the comments below. So I'm doing that. So that's the second thing. The first thing, big integration being launched this week. The second thing is I'm interviewing. Doesn't mean that I got in, but I'm kind of going to the next round. Got some interviews lined up next week. They're going to interview me and learn more about the business and see if I'm a good fit and see if I'm aligned with kind of the other folks who have already been accepted in terms of the larger cohort, because they want to make sure that there's a good balance of perspective, and make sure the entire dynamic is really super healthy. What's so cool though is there are like 3 or 4 major events, and so I'll be flying to like New York and over on the East Coast and hanging out with some really great folks if I get accepted. So hopefully that would be awesome. If you're a praying person, feel free to pray about that. Praxis, link below, check it out. But then thirdly, I had a really great interaction with a friend and a community user on Yen. And I'm not going to mention his name because he didn't give me permission to share this topic, but I really felt like it was something really important that you and I, that we chat about. And it's not something altogether new of a topic, but it's something that this person wanted to chat with me about, and I think it's something important. So I'm just going to read this off straight from my direct message here. This person says, I want to tell someone to help me get over this, and so I can pick myself back up. My potential startup from a month ago has already failed. Sad face. The 2 people/friends I recruited ultimately decided that they didn't like working together, and I refused to take sides, so the team was disbanded. I am a lone wolf again for now. Holy cow, that's a huge spider. Check this out. Can you see that? It's like right in my face. Oh, now he's right there. He's like clear. Oh. Hopefully, there we go. Now he's on the floor. Hopefully my 1.5-year-old won't eat him. But anyway, so this person was struggling with, hope I don't step on that guy. This person was struggling with the fact that his startup team, the relationships that he had around his startup imploded. And so, although I deeply empathize with that, and it's very hard to bring, it's very hard to recruit friends and people to start building a new project with you, I think that's a serious first test of any entrepreneur is can you convince one person that your idea is worth dropping everything and committing oneself to the project. Man, like if you can't do that, then maybe the idea isn't fleshed out enough, or maybe it's not a good enough idea, or maybe there's something missing. So I think that's the first test: is can you convince people to join you in your quest to take over like the world, or to build this new project? And if you can't do that, then yeah, you probably need to take a little bit of a step back. But the important thing though is working through the relational components. And so when I counseled this man, my response to him was like, this is part of the process. And although it's incredibly painful right now, this is really good because there's nothing better than discovering early on in the process, kind of around the newly formed project, if you can work well with these people. There's nothing more important than determining as quickly as you possibly can, are these people folks that I want to work with? And can they work not just with me, but with everyone else in kind of the early stage team? And what I said to this person verbatim, I said, it can feel discouraging, but let me be the first to tell you that waking up every day with a business partner that you can't get along with is living hell. There are a few things more devastating to me personally than that. It's better to spend time getting to know these folks early on in the process and having them disappoint me early on than be quote unquote married to them long term on a project. So I said, you're doing it right, even though it hurts. And it's really important because once you commit yourselves to a startup and you form the company and the stock and the shares and the ownership is all divvied out, now you are married to this person. You have serious skin in the game. You may have already spent a lot of money to get to this point. And if then a few months later you realize that you can't work with this person, or you don't respect them, they don't respect you, like at a very serious fundamental level, maybe philosophically, maybe values, that's huge. Maybe direction of the project, right, or the scope and the scale, and just the general direction. If you can't agree with those principal, fundamental, kind of bedrock-ish things, then you should quit. And you should quit. You should move on as quickly as possible. No hard feelings, because there's nothing worse than being stuck with someone, married to them in a project that you can't get along with. And I don't want to say like that you hate them or maybe like seriously disrespect them, but it will get there because bitterness begins to grow. And so what I've done in my historically, and I've mentioned this in the past, but I want to say it again, is before I start any new project, I test the waters with the relationships with the folks that I may want to work with. I do 30, 60, 90-day projects with them. And I act as if like I'm going to work with these people for a long, long time. Try to cut through the bullshit, cut through the noise, and get to know this person, not just behaviorally, right? And the things that they do day in and day out, and whether I can even stand that. And there are very few things that I can stand. but also more principally, their values, right? And their principles. The things that really drive them to behave the way that they behave, because behavior is it's like a lagging indicator of what really is going on at a heart and mind level. And it takes time, but I time box it 30, 60, 90 days. I spend an incredible amount of time with these people, sometimes like a full-time job, working on something with no promise of equity or ownership stake or whatever. I just say, hey, the goal of us working together is to figure out if we can even work together in the first place. And let's wait to discuss equity and ownership and like roles and responsibilities, like until we're a few weeks in, let's just see if we even like hanging out with each other. And that might sound so superficial, but that's where it starts. Because I know, you might be in a situation right now where you dread going into the office. You dread waking up to these people. And it's not that they're bad people. You just, for whatever reason, you just don't get along. And that's okay. It's entirely okay. But given your current circumstance, given your current situation, you're kind of stuck, right? You can always quit or go find another job, I guess. But if you're the owner of a company, like it's not an easy thing to quit a company, especially if you have staff and investors and a number of things. You got to keep going. You're locked in. Like the current project that I'm working on, I'm locked in. I'm married to a lot of people. I am incredibly promiscuous right now. I'm married to a ton of different people. And we got to go the distance. We're going to work as hard as we can to get the outcomes that we want. And thank God, thank you, Jesus, that I really like these people. And they're good for me. They're making me better people. I've learned to love and respect their quirks and their different behavioral whatever, the way that they do their work, which is some of which is very different than mine, but I respect them and I love them. I love them for who they are. But that took time, and and you have to go through that. When I think about the limited amount of time that we have on the earth, the limited amount of time that we have to build really cool things, it's worth it to go through the difficult moments of determining if a relationship is going to work out. It's okay to have a lot of false starts. It's okay to have a lot of experiments with other folks and have those combust. It's okay because you're learning not just about them, but you're also learning a lot about yourself and what you stand for, what it means to you to do great work. Like it helps you refine and define and redefine like all of your values. It forces you to revisit them and ask yourself the really hard questions of, are these things that I really value or that I feel like I should value? And that culturally I feel pressured to value those, but when I really actually don't. And most people we never ask those questions, or we're never in a context where we're forced to actually grapple with those things. But in the context of an early stage company or early stage project, like you have to wrestle deeply with those things. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it. And that's why most early stage companies they implode, they die, not because of just running out of money, which is typically the case, but the one of the more common reasons is because of founder dysfunction, founder relationship dysfunction. And even with the folks that I've started this company with, we get in fights. I get disappointed. I get upset. Probably a lot more than I should. And that's on me. But fighting with folks, arguing, having a difference of opinion, those are all healthy things if you do it in a healthy way. And if you do it with folks that you respect and that you mutually love, and but it takes time to get there and it takes practice. Because the only way that I've been able to put companies together and attract and hire and retain incredibly talented people is I've had to practice learning who I like to work with over the many, many, many years of doing this. And finally, I feel fairly comfortable with being able to quickly identify, okay, you're the type of person that I would really get along with, that I would really love building stuff with, that we're probably going to have a lot of differences of opinion. We're probably going to have a lot of differences in terms of how we execute and how we do things. We may not even align on when we like to work. Like I like to work late nights, early mornings. You might work more typical 9 to 5, but that's entirely okay. I appreciate the difference. I respect you. I enjoy being around you because I know who I am. I've spent the last 20 years trying to figure that out, right? As a professional working adult, And now I feel good about it. So it just takes time, takes practice. And so that's what I was trying to communicate to this gentleman. And hopefully it worked. Maybe I'll share this vlog with him. But anyway, it's getting a little bit long here, but hope I'm going to get some lunch. What a big day. Oh, fourth thing is Google sent me a new Chromebook for free. So I don't have to pay for it. Not exactly sure what to do with it. This is like one of the weakest or cheapest HPs that they've got. The trackpad is terrible on these machines, just absolute worst. But I think there will be some interesting experiments that I will run with this. So that's something I'm doing in my Kobe's free time. Anyway, have a great rest of the week. I will see you guys online. Love you, and that's it.